All right, just looking to see if this is looking good. Hope you're having a great and wonderful day. Hopefully this Math Minute will make some sense with Mr. Larson. If this doesn't make sense what I'm talking about, you can always go to the book. You can always search the internet, and the search today would be searching for scale factor in real life, and it would show you some things. I'll show you some things. I'll show you the concept and the principle, and you can see if this makes sense. But again, I'm always available for more help in person if this doesn't make sense. We have done scale factor a little bit, just some theoretical, some working on worksheets, some mathematical, some geometry scale factor. But scale factor in real life, it's exactly the same thing. Just hopefully this additional talking about the concept will make some sense. And I'm going to show you some scale factoring right now. Now, as you see this happening, sorry if I'm making you a headache, but that's a scale factor. Right now, let's say I'm at 100%. Well, then I can come down here. I can come down here to 5%. Or I can come down here to 50%. I can cut it in half. I can multiply by half. So here I am at 100. I can multiply by 1/2 and be to right there. I can make myself small. Or let's say this was my original amount right here. Let's say I want to multiply that by 2. And so then the scale factor goes to here. Or let's say I've got this one. What if this was my original and I wanted to do a scale factor, multiply this by 2, and I'd come out to this scale factor. So scale factoring is simply, there's an actual size and then there's a scale size. And that's all the work is. So I'll talk about a couple things. I'll share a few things here, but a lot of it is just the foundation for the work you'll be doing here in scale factoring and for real life. So here we go. Have you ever looked at Google Maps? If you look at Google Maps, there's the screen and you'll have the roads. Maybe there's a lake, and we've got ourselves maybe some roads going this way, or maybe a field, a soccer field right there. Then down here there will be what we call a legend, and that legend will show us, from here to here is 3 miles. Or it might say 10 miles, or it might say 50 miles, depending on what you've clicked on, the plus or the minus. Every time you click that plus or minus, you're just doing scale factoring. My wife and I will joke with each other, and we'll say, she'll be guiding me, or she'll be the navigator while I'm driving, or the opposite. And we'll tease each other, say, well, we're about this far away, or we're about this far away. Well, knowing that really doesn't make sense if we don't know the scale factor. And this is, in math, how to find the scale factor. All we do is use a proportion. That's all it is. Remember these proportions where you have, A over B equals C over D, and then you solve for one number. That's all scale factoring is. And here's how the proportion can look. You can either talk about like a small distance as it compares to another small distance, and then set that equal to the actual distance with another actual distance. And I'll explain what I mean here in a second. Or you might say one small distance is the same as another small distance is to another actual distance. If I say this is small 1, an actual 1, and small 2, an actual 2, you'll see more of these kind of language in future years. It's the same here, saying small 1 and small 2 to actual 1 to actual 2. And in math and in doing the work, it's a matter of finding one of these items that are missing. Now, why can I write it both ways? As long as you're doing the small 1 to 2 in the same direction as the actual 1 and 2, and then over here, the small 1, actual 1, small 2, actual 2. As long as you're doing it in the same order, this is really the same proportion. Because look, when I cross multiply, actual 1 times small 2. On this one, when I cross multiply, actual 1 to small 2, you're multiplying the same things. So you don't really need to worry about what you're writing first, as long as when you build the proportion, as long as you build it the same way. For example, if I've got this scale model of an airplane, if the actual airplane right here is, if the actual airplane is, let's say it's 200 feet long, and let's say I build this scale model that I hold in my hand of the airplane, I do not know how to draw an airplane, by the way. So let's say I do an actual airplane right there. Does that look like an airplane? Sure doesn't to me. And then let's say this scale airplane is 40 inches. What's my scale? What's the legend? It's just a matter of building this proportion. So right here, if I've got 40 inches, I'll do this right here, small to actual. And maybe I can even do both to show you, but the small is the 40 inches. 40 inches is the small one, so the actual one is 200 feet. And they'll say, well, what is 1 inch then? What does 1 inch equal? And so then you just have to figure and put out the last number there. And in these problems, we'll always be working these through where there's one number we need to figure out. How much is 1 inch? They might say in hard problems, how much is 3 inches? How much is 12 inches? But it's just building the first proportion and building the second one. Now I just built this one. What if I built this one right here? Well, let's see. The small one is 40 inches. And the actual one is 200 feet. And then the question will be, well, how much is 1 inch? 1 inch, that's the other small one right here because we've got inches to inches. So how much is 1 inch? And then you have to figure out this amount right here. Well, no matter how you do that, no matter what, when you cross multiply like we've learned, you're still going to be multiplying the same items together. So we have 200 times 1, which is 200, equals 40 times whatever this number of feet is going to be. Or on this one, it's number of feet. Divide both sides by 40. 200 divided by 40 gives you 5. So on this one, 5. The 1 inch translates to 5 feet. Or 1 inch translates to 5 feet. So these 40 inches, one of these 40 inches right here, just one of those, right there, that 1 inch is the same as 5 feet. And that's how you work it out. It's just building a proportion, either looking like this or this, making sure you're comparing in the same direction. When I say that's all it is, it's a little hard because you have to make the decision. You're creating this whole item instead of just figuring out one item. You have to create the proportion and then solve it. But that's really all scale modeling is. And then there's another aspect of this we're not going to get into right now, but it's where what do you have to multiply? What's the multiplication factor to get from the small to the actual? From here to here, what's the multiplication? What is this number here? And we'll talk about this in future days. But if you feel like you understand this enough, and I can tell you on this one, what are we multiplying by to get from here to here? Well, we're multiplying by 5. It won't always be that easy of a number, but the scale on this is a 5 inches foot scale. But the number is 5. There we go. So just a couple quick words about scale factoring in real life. Hopefully that helps get you started on the assignment for today. Bye-bye.